So we're here today with...
James Roach. I'm the head of Lawrence Haynes and Beachfield Schools in Watford. I'm also the CEO of the Inclusive Multi-Academy Trust.
Thank you. It was great to be here. Thank you for having us here today. I'd like to talk to you about the SLT perspective of nurture. So talk to me about what it's meant to actually implement nurture across the school.
Well, it's been a huge journey for a number of years, and what it's really meant is that I really feel confident now that we are meeting the needs of our whole school community, primarily our children, but our staff and our parents as well. It's taken a while to implement. We've been on a big journey with it. It came from a very, very small idea, and it has grown exponentially since then. And now it really absolutely underpins the entire ethos of the school, and consequently the trust that we've just set up.
Fantastic. Have you had to sort of bend the rules a little bit to sort of get nurture in there, or talk to me about sort of the actual implementation? Is there anything you've had to change a little bit?
Well, the implementation is an interesting one because it's grown periodically over time. It's grown from an idea that one member of staff had to something that has absolutely permeated through every aspect of our school. Have we had to bend the rules? Yes, we have. In its initial setup, our nurture group didn't meet the criteria for the size of the room and the actual things like that. So we just did it anyway, and we did our own version of it. And we've all the way through, we've had to just make good on what we've got. It's as far as the criteria for a curriculum, we've just threaded it through our curriculum. We don't worry about who's coming in to observe, be it Ofsted or the local authority, visitors, because this is primarily for our children, and our children are specific to our context and our area. So we make best of it as we can.
So in terms of sort of the actual implementation, what have you seen throughout the school that sort of changed sort of before and after? In terms of, it could be, I've visited here before, I've seen peer massage going on, but what other implementations have you seen?
So the implementations are about bringing staff on, and these ideas come from our wonderful nurture leader, Nicola. They always start off with coming to me and saying, I've got this great idea, and could we try this? And that's how nurturing itself started at the school. And we've largely said yes, and then it's been down to Nicola to actually implement it with the individual staff members. Now what she's been brilliant at is taking a key person who she knows she can bring around to her way of thinking if they're not already there, or is already there and is happy to try something, and trial it in that year group. And the scalability has almost been sort of self-fulfilling. Massage is a really good example. We never thought it would get past year one, reception in year one, but as soon as the other people started seeing the positivity around it, it came up and up and up into each year group, and now it's just something that is absolutely embedded in what we do at the school, from nursery all the way through to year 6. I suppose on a broader scale for me as head, it's been the sort of the sellability to our governors and our parents. The governors hold the purse strings, they rightly challenge us on value for money, and I think I've always had to try and prove that this does work. And I think one of the big challenges is to prove that lots of these pastoral approaches actually have a impact on children, and to be able to measure those. And that's been a challenge, but I think it's been a challenge that we've been able to increasingly provide evidence for.
So I'd like to continue the point about data and the prove it factor. Can you talk to me a little bit more about how you're using the data and how you've actually proved that nurture works?
Yeah, and it's something that's grown over time, because nurture as a principle, as a nurture group, was something that we had to justify for a financial reason. There is a financial outlay that is linked to it, so we had to prove it. And in the shorter term, that was by using sort of SDQs and entry point feeling data, and then measuring that across time. But actually what we have got now is nurture in the school has gone to its 6th year this year, so we've now got evidence that shows that our very first children who joined our nurture group have now left to secondary school, and we've been able to chart the impact of nurture on them. As a broad rule, about 3/4 of our children who go into our nurture group in year 1 move into year 2 and throughout the rest of their time here without the need of any other further pastoral intervention. There's a couple that do, but actually because of the relationships that were built up through that initial nurture group period, that actual intervention is really easy to implement with parents and with teachers. The prove it factor is anecdotal in some senses, in the sense that those children are going off to secondary school really happy. Those children are in secondary school really happy. And when we were first working with them, we had concerns about whether they would be able to survive, in the broadest sense, in a school environment. The other aspects are in the academic data. In that period, our data has improved, and I'm talking about headline data at the end of Key Stage 2 for reading, writing and maths, has improved year on year, and a continuous upward trend. We've gone from being just below an average school nationally to being above average locally and nationally. So the academic data can be attributed to that. And I think it's important to say that, in that 6-year journey, we've moved from a nurture group to being a fully nurturing school. And that journey itself has gone hand in hand with the improvement in standards and data at the school.
Fantastic. So, what for the future? What developments have you got on the cards coming up?
We are looking at scalability of things. We have just set up a multi-academy trust. Lawrence Haynes is currently the only school in the trust. There are 2 schools joining as of the 1st of January, one of which I've been a head teacher of for the last year and a term. The plans very much are to share the great practice that's happening at Lawrence Haynes, signpost to places like the Nurturing Schools Network, who have been really supportive of what we're doing. As I said, we've worked for the last year and a bit at another local school who are joining the trust. Nicola has been influential in coming over and sort of starting up a pastoral team at the school, of which we're now really, really proud of, and starting to have some really positive effects. And actually, to sort of complete the journey, really, the third school that is joining our trust joined us because of what they believe is a shared ethos, and I believe is a shared ethos. That ethos is absolutely one that is completely, made up of all of the work that Nurture has centred around in the school for the last 6 or 7 years.
Fantastic.
So, what for the future? I can't tell you, but it's growing, and it will involve nurture.
That's great. So, sort of a final thought. If you were to give one piece of advice to a practitioner who has obviously seen the benefits of nurture and would like to get SLT buy-in, what would be that one key piece of advice be?
The key piece of advice is find somebody who's brilliant, that can lead it for you. Visit as many places as you can that are doing it well, and then decide what your school needs, and start off small and make it achievable. Start off small with 1 child, 2 children, 1 class, 1 teacher, and grow it, because it will grow if it's done right naturally. We have never had to really force anything at Lawrence Haynes. It has just been based on seeing impact, seeing it in the children, seeing it in the staff, and that's what I'd say. Start off small, learn from good people, and follow your heart with it.
Fantastic. Thanks, James. Appreciate that.